we thought it was frankly immoral that you emitted all this stuff into the atmosphere, and then now you're telling us that we're going to stay poor forever because you want to protect the environment. It's not that you're gonna take your wealth and spread it. I remember maybe 25 years ago, many years ago, when I was at the beginning of my business career. We're all young with my friends. At that time, I remembered a meeting that was widely reported between, I believe, President Bill Clinton of the US and Chinese President Jiang Zemin. So during that meeting, Bill Clinton said to his Chinese counterpart that, look, we're okay with China developing and getting rich, but you can't get rich the way we did. If you get rich the way we did, we'll all be in trouble. Okay. And it was a widely reported meeting. And at that time, we were all young. We're just starting our career. China was sort of taking off. We were flabbergasted by that statement. That statement struck us as such hypocrisy and immorality. We were struck by that statement. We thought it was frankly immoral that you developed, you emitted all this stuff into the atmosphere, and then now you're telling us that we're going to stay poor forever because you want to protect the environment. It's not that you're gonna take your wealth and spread it and have us share it. You're not going to do that. So we're going to be poor forever. Of course, China had evolved and developed tremendously. We became the largest industrial base in the world, the industrial base for the world. I mean, our industrial capacity is bigger than the US, Japan, and Germany combined. We make everything for the world, okay? And during much of that period, China insisted on the principle of common and differentiated responsibility for ecology, for the environment, which reflected the sentiments that I and many of my colleagues and compatriots of my generation shared, which was that outrage that the West, the developed world, had done all this damage, and at least you got to give us a chance to catch up in our development. Once we're more or less on equal footing, then we can talk about how do we reduce it together, okay? And you reduce it first, right? So common and differentiated responsibility, that characterized much of my China's development in my career. But also in the same period, we, the Chinese people, and myself included, realized and witnessed the amazing, tremendous environmental degradation that accompanied our development, our industrial development. You couldn't see clear sky in Beijing for months on end for a while, for many years. And then, of course, when Bill Clinton made that statement to Jiang Zemin, climate wasn't at the forefront. In the last 5-10 years, all the science is showing that, Bill Clinton was right. If we emit carbon dioxide like the West did on a per capita basis, the entire world will be in trouble. And we're far from there. Our per capita income is a fourth of the US. So I think, things, the mindset and outlook and political outlook have changed. Like I said, China is still a developing country. It is nowhere near the wealth and per capita income of the developed West, which had led the carbon emission for 150 years. And we're nowhere near that. But China decided, just on a matter of principle, that because this concerns all of the world, to give up that principle and to discuss how we can work together to achieve climate goals. And second is more personality driven. I think since 2012, since Xi Jinping came to power, Xi Jinping is a committed environmentalist. I think he's probably one of the most committed environmentalists that are among world leaders in the world today. Okay, and he means it. It's through the policies, and at first the policies were very tough, and we were all worried that it would affect economic development. There was an area, a region called Erhai. Erhai was in the city of Dali. Erhai was one of the largest body of freshwater lake in China for sure. It was a beautiful region, pristine, but very poor, very, very poor. Okay. And 20 some years ago, the region began to develop and it got wealthier and wealthier. Tourism, of course, by 2012, accounted for nearly half. At the same time, Erhai became totally polluted. You could smell the water, the sewage and all the tourism industry, the hotels. It was uninhabitable almost. Incredible how fast it happened, like 10 years. And in I believe it was 2013 or 14, President Xi Jinping went and visited Erhai. We were all surprised that he went there. And he said that this needs to be fixed. We're not going to leave our children, one of our national treasures like this. So in a short 5-year period, okay, this is unprecedented in history, they cleaned up Erhai. And the resistance, the low interest groups, think about how many economic interests are involved, how many commercial interests, political interests, when you undertake such an initiative. Enormous businesses got shut down. All the hotels were pulled back 100 meters from the lake. And the government invested and built in record time, 2 to 3 years, unheard of, a sewage management system, a water treatment system around the lake. And it's an enormous lake. I think it's probably the largest water treatment lake system in the world today. It was built in 2 years. In the process, they demoted about nearly 200 officials for lagging in their execution. Okay. So now if you go to Erhai, at 5 years, beginning like 2017, 2018, the water was pristine. 2/3, I think 250 or 207 days out of the year, they achieve a grade 2 level of water cleanliness, which means you can drink it. There was a lot of resistance from our local businesses. Now they welcome it because there's higher level of tourism. So that's Erhai. Second story I want to share was closer by here in Zhejiang province, in Pujiang. Pujiang was near Hangzhou. Hangzhou was a beautiful tourist region, but Pujiang is further into the mountains. So there wasn't a lot of infrastructure. So it always lagged behind very much in development. It was very poor. Again, also 20 some years ago, they figured out a way to industrialize. They decided to make Pujiang a center for crystal making crystals. The region got really rich, but again, environment got destroyed. Okay, it was a beautiful mountainous region. The lakes, the rivers were like cafe latte. Around the same time, 2013, 2014, a new provincial party secretary came to power from the Xi Jinping administration, and he pushed through a 五水共治 five water issue policy. In record time, I was just there last year. Okay, in 5 years, cleaned it up. The water was pristine. What they did is they consolidated. There were about 25,000 crystal studios, crystal workshops, the small fragmented industry. They consolidated into several hundred larger companies, and they moved them to industrial parks so they could share the water treatment and sewage and industrial waste treatment facilities. Actually, revenue and margin both jumped over a 5-year period after they changed this. So these stories are happening everywhere in China. So I think China is going to trot a path that is different from industrialized West. We're going to try to be ecologically mindful and develop the economy at the same time. So I'll share these stories. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It's great to be with you and nice to follow Eric. Although, Eric, that cafe latte crack is complicated because you never know how hipsters are going to react to that. Maybe they'd like the polluted water if it reminds them of cafe latte. So there's that.